Lambert at the Effective Demand Research. So I'm continuing to work on this new equation, this three-dimensional equation that sort of looks like a Cobra. And I might just call it the Cobra equation, because when I'm looking at it here. But you can see up here that I've simplified the equation to just show the part here for um, productive capacity, so to speak, in the terms of X is capacity utilization and Y is employment of labor, which would be, so if there's like a 10% unemployment, that's 90% employment of labor. So that's what X and Y stand for. And then the Z portion of this is a measure of profitability. So when you look at the surface of this graph, you're seeing profitability incentives going up this graph, and then diminishing returns on the other side as the economy grows, more capacity utilization and more labor utilization. There's a diminishing returns based on demand from the labor share. So this coefficient of 0.723 is the coefficient that corresponds with 74% effective labor share. And this is the curve, three-dimensional curve, that is produced. And it looks like a Cobra. So now I want to take this particular equation and show what's going on since the crisis. Okay, so here's a plot where you have employment and capacity or capital utilization, same thing. And so you have 100% capital utilization, or you have 100% employment of your labor. And these numbers out here represent the surface of the curve that you just saw, the Cobra. And see 6473, 65, 6570. The numbers are increasing up the curve. And then they reach a maximum and then start to decrease down towards 100% capacity utilization, 100% employment. Okay, so that gives you an idea of the plot. Now this red line here is the maximum profit line. This is where the curve comes up, maxes out, and then starts to go back down after diminishing returns. So this blue line here is the effective demand limit, where the employment of capital and the employment of labor multiplied together are equal to or less than 74%. And this holds true for the 74% is the effective labor share. And through history, as the economy grows, this X times Y will stay equal to or less than 74%. Sometimes it will go over and we'll see inflation develop. But let's move on here. So we've got the effective demand limit and the maximum profit. So here is all the numbers for 74% effective labor share from that equation that you saw at the beginning of the video. So these are the actual numbers that come out. And what's interesting is that these numbers from that simple equation, this plot is describing exactly what is happening in the economy right now. The numbers are matching up. The percentages are matching up. So here's where the economy fell to at the crisis. About a 10% unemployment and a 66% usage of capital utilization. And since then, capacity utilization has increased and unemployment has come down. Employment has risen. So this is basically the path that the economy has taken to where we are right now in the economy, sitting close to the effective demand limit. Now the profit line is on the other side of the effective demand limit. So there's profits to be had. The companies feel like there's some growth that can happen, but there's this effective demand limit which is blocking them from really realizing their profits that they feel are there. But there's a limit that's blocking them. And as we've seen in the past year or two, capacity utilization has stabilized out at around 78%. It's just coming in. As employment is coming down, capacity utilization is staying even. It's actually come down a little bit. And then what this graph is showing is that capacity utilization, as employment comes down, capacity utilization will either stay steady or even decrease. So if you go up this graph, you go up this line, capacity utilization is decreasing. Now let's say we go all the way to 4% or 3% unemployment. What would you see? You'd see that capacity utilization decreases, and then you start to get this separation on this profit line coming up this way. You start to get this separation from the effective demand limit, so that the economy starts to move away from the effective demand limit before the recession occurs. Because once you start limiting your production capacity through decreasing capital utilization, you trigger a recession. You limit supply of products. You're putting more money in the hands of people as unemployment is coming down. You get inflation, and then the Fed reacts, and then you have this cascading reaction to where the economy will fall and then come back up this line. And then capacity utilization hits its limit, labor gets employed more, then you start pulling away from the effective demand limit here, and then the Fed reacts and it falls back. You have this circular motion in the economy from recession to recession. You can see the business cycle right here. Now what's interesting is when a profit line here, you see this arrow where the profit line pulls away from the effective demand limit before a recession. This is actually seen in the data on the effective demand limit, that as the economy pulls away from the effective demand limit, there really isn't a recession yet. But it shows that it's dropping away from the effective demand limit, but there isn't a recession yet because there's still profitability. The businesses and firms are increasing profitability even as it's pulling away from the effective demand limit, which explains why the recessions don't occur as the economy is pulling away from the effective demand limit. There's still increasing profitability. It's only when it starts to fall backwards that you get the recession. There is no recession as you're pulling away from the effective demand limit, the blue line here, and going up this profit maximization line. So this equation, I'll go back to the thing here. This equation right here and this chart of it is actually explaining the economy at the moment. So I'm still working on this, getting some ideas and putting it together, but this is looking pretty good. I can change this coefficient up here and change, as I change the coefficient, the effective demand limit and these profit lines move in accordance with past recessions. So it's looking pretty good so far. All right, that's it.